Hi everyone, Paul here from Limitless Tech Reviews, and this video is a continuation of the multi-part series that I am doing here on Limitless Tech Reviews, Apple versus Google. So in this series, we're going to be comparing mobile platforms, iOS versus Android. So let's get started. So I am a heavy user of both platforms. I have an Android phone and I have an iPad. So I will try to be very subjective and see how they win out. So, iOS. It is a very controlled platform. It's a very powerful platform. It's a very simple platform. With iOS, you have the App Store, you have the iTunes Store, you have the iBook Store, and that's pretty much it. Unless you jailbreak it, you can't get any other content. It's very closed, and with each update of the software, jailbreaking is getting harder and harder. So Apple definitely does not like jailbreaking. So they definitely control this mobile platform, but it is a very powerful, very good operating system. The App Store is huge. There are tons of apps. There are great apps. They have a great way of organizing it. You can sync it with everything, and it's a very good mobile platform. And now with Android is a very open. It's less controlled. There's the App Store, but you can also get different other stores and all kinds of things like that. It's very open. But the App Store isn't nearly as good as the iOS App Store. There's so many apps that it's hard to control, and it's disorganized, and it's really hard to find a good app. So, but since it's so open, the carriers for the phone or the tablet or whatever device that this mobile operating system is running on, the carriers put their own little skin on top of it. Like Motorola has Motoblur, HTC has HTC Sense, things like that, TouchWiz, and Samsung, all kinds of things like that. So the problem is there's a huge learning curve. Depending on what Android smartphone you get, they can be as different as night as day. It's complicated, it can be very complex, but it's very, very, very powerful. So I personally love them both. I think it comes down to pretty much a personal preference. If you want a very controlled operating system, very simple, very powerful, iOS. If you want a very open, not very complex, but more complex operating system, does more, do more. If you're a technology enthusiast, if you can do that kind of thing, then you definitely want to go with Android. So, like I said, it's a matter of personal preference. I personally kind of prefer Android, not for any reason except for iOS can get pretty boring sometimes because it's always the same. I personally wish that they would do some sort of different operating system for the iPad that's different than the iPod, because I hate to say it, it's kind of a big iPod. Like, I absolutely hate saying that because I'm a Apple fanboy. I love Apple. Their iPad is great. Their iMac, I have an iMac, is great. Everything that I have of theirs is great. The Apple TV, every product I have of theirs, I think is great. But the iPad is pretty much a big iPod Touch without the cameras because it runs the same operating system. I really wish Apple would come up with their own integrated software just for the iPad. But enough of me talking. So I'm going to give this round a draw because it really comes down to personal preference. I mean, if you prefer the Android, the openness, and you prefer iOS. So this has been iOS versus Android, and it is a draw. So stay tuned for the channel for many other coverages of this Apple versus Google. I'll probably go a little bit further into iOS versus Android because there definitely is a lot to cover. I'm not sure how many parts this video series is gonna be, but I'm gonna get a lot out of it, I'm sure. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe.